My security light's just blown. Right, better find something to replace it quick. But now's a golden opportunity to get something more efficient and more eco-friendly. Although, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to steal from me, because all my clothes come from charity shops. They've been stitched back together about 50 times, including the underpants and socks. I've got scythes, I've got old brewing equipment. Mate, if they're into permaculture, they're going to have a bloody field day. But I think otherwise they're probably going to leave me a gift because they feel sorry for me. But I'm going to do it anyway and make a video on it because I'm a nerd. Now, I'm not going to get too technical on you because we are only talking about a single bulb used in a security light with a PIR sensor that just comes on intermittently, and electricity is relatively cheap, so it's not going to use an awful lot in the big scheme of things. However, the exact same bulbs are used in the same design of light in floodlights. They're basically security lights without the PIR sensor, and they're put on permanently. Also, when you're talking about bulbs inside a house which use the same technology, anything that's on for a longer period of time is going to save a ton of money and electricity. So it's worth figuring out which ones are the most efficient bulbs and switching over as soon as you possibly can. What we would call halogen bulbs are actually linear R7S. That's the style and the shape of them. And now they come in different flavors like halogen, low energy, which are, I think, a version of halogen but using less energy. And then we've got LED now in the same shape and style and lengths. There's different lengths, anything from 78 up to 257 millimeters, but the common sizes are 78 or 118 millimeters. So if you're replacing your bulb, make sure you get the right length. Just measure it with a tape measure. If it's close to one of those two, you can get the right one. There's three key things you need to understand when you're buying bulbs. Now, obviously, for just a single bulb like this, it's not going to make a huge difference, but this will be really useful to you if you're trying to lower your energy bill and replace all the bulbs in your house to make them more efficient and more eco-friendly. The first one is how much power you're consuming, wattage. The second one is brightness, which is measured in lumens. And the third one is color temperature, which is measured in Kelvin. Wattage is pretty easy to understand. You can compare like for like. Brightness, a little bit more difficult. It's becoming more easy, and the reason I say that is because the old filament bulbs we used to get, the ones with the little wire in them, used to get really hot. They used to be measured in candles, so brightness of candles, whereas LED ones at the same time they were being sold were being measured in lumens. But it seems to be now the standard across the board, so you compare like for like, is lumens. So look out for that. LM is what you're looking for, and what we want is the maximum amount of lumens for a given amount of wattage. Some bulbs are more efficient than others. Obviously, we want more lumens and less wattage. And the final thing is color temperature. So this ranges from about 2000 K or Kelvin up to 6500 K. And that will tell you how warm or cold or yellowy or bluey the light color is. Typically, we want something around the 3000 K mark for indoor or entertaining areas where we're sitting comfortably. Outside, if you want to highlight things like the patio or the driveway, you're looking more at about 4000 K plus. So for the three different types of R7 bulb, these are the sorts of ranges you're looking at for both wattage and brightness. Just taking middle of the row figures, you can see the LED light bulbs are way more efficient. Looks like the low energy ones are just simply limited on the amount of watts they consume, not really much more efficient than the standard. Now, for this single bulb project and a bulb that's used intermittently, it's not going to really make much difference to you. But if you were retrofitting a building, replacing all the light bulbs, it's going to save you a ton of electricity, a ton of carbon, and a ton of money. Now, at this stage, you can actually replace the entire light. You don't have to just replace the bulb. And the cost of the lights has come down enough that you might actually want to consider that. Bulbs are going to be ranging from about £5 up to £20, with the higher end being the much higher wattage ones. But then your lights, you've got both solar and battery operated lights and then wired ones. So let's take a look online at what's available. Just for some context, let's start off with a standard halogen bulb. 1000 watts, about as powerful as you can get. It's only 69p. Now, you can see it's a clearance item. It's only available at Bermondsey. Chances of you getting any more of these now are pretty slim. Low energy bulbs, £2, 120 watt, 150 watt equivalent. But again, they're being phased out, so I'm looking more at LED bulbs now. The reason I've chosen this one is because it's not the most powerful. It's only 19 watts. You can go up to 50 watts and get much higher lumens, but value for money, £12, believe it or not, is actually pretty good for a 19 watt bulb, and the lumens you're getting out. It's Osram, so it's a good brand. I wouldn't buy cheap brands you've never heard of. Let's move on to the hardwired light. Again, Wessex, a well-known brand. You can probably get slightly cheaper lights than this. Not much, to be honest. That's pretty good value for money. Again, it's not the most powerful, 50 watts, but it's got 6,000 lumens. Some of them have got 5,000 lumens. It's hard to say whether or not they can actually achieve that, but because it's Wessex, because it's a well-known electrical brand, I would actually suggest that's more likely to be true than one you might get off Amazon or eBay or some brand you don't know. The reason I've listed this one is just to show you what they can go up to. This is 100 watts and 10,000 lumens, so it's slightly less efficient than that one, probably because it is an unknown brand. But again, only 23 quid. The problem, as I say, with these ones is you can't service them, you can't replace any of the parts if they break. And then finally, I actually installed this on a client's house. It's still going strong after about 7 years. Not the most powerful, 550 lumens, but for simplicity, the fact you don't have to wire it in, you don't need an electrician, just screw it into the wall and off you go. Pretty happy with that. Of all those options, I've decided to go for the Osram LED bulb, and I'm going to get a low energy bulb just for comparison so we can compare the light output. Now, the reason I've done this is from a waste and a cost point of view, mainly waste because I've fitted more than a few of these wired and battery lights, and I've seen too many failures to consider buying one of these. The problem is you can't replace any parts in it, you can't really repair it, it's just a throwaway item, and the chances are the average person, once it breaks, is going to throw it in the bin. Unfortunately, like most mass-produced electronic items these days, they're just not very good quality, so that's why I'd rather just go for the bulb. Just installing the low energy bulb now. Damn, that got hot straight away. That's the difference between a halogen bulb, whether it's low energy or not, and an LED bulb. The amount of energy you're wasting through heat, that's where it's going. Quite obviously, the low energy bulb is brighter. I was trying to get equivalent lumens, but I couldn't find one in the shops. But to be honest, the LED one lights up my garden, so I'm pretty happy with that. So what are the potential savings? Well, as mentioned before, security lights are intermittent and electricity is relatively cheap, so it's not going to save you an awful lot of electricity or cost. However, floodlights, which are basically security lights without the PIR sensor, they're normally turned on permanently, and I've seen them on clients' homes, either in addition or instead of security lights. You see them at football pitches, supermarkets, shops, wherever, and I think we can assume they're run for a minimum of 4 hours a night every single day. That's 1,860 hours a year, just as a sort of random number. That's going to save you £224 at current prices, 160 kilos of CO2, or you should really be thinking about gas CO2 in terms of volume, not in terms of weight, 80 meters cubed of CO2 for one bulb switched from halogen to LED. And that's for 1 year. So imagine that over 5 years, you're looking at, what, £1,100? Now, I think you can extrapolate this into a household setting where you would have 20, 30 or 40 bulbs, even if they're not 1,000 watts. And if they're halogen or low energy, they're an order of magnitude less efficient than LED. And so the savings would be actually pretty big. Right, guys, this one's been a bit of a detailed one. I guess the point I'm really trying to make is about low energy bulbs in general, not just security lights. If you like this video, guys, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be making more videos on sustainability, permaculture, repairs, building work and so on. So we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, bye.